New 33. 5-8 Scholars generally hold that Migdol is likely an Egyptian pronunciation for the Hebrew Migdal, meaning tower, and that it doubtless refers to a military post or watchtower on the Egyptian border. However, there is evidence that there were several such Migdols along the Egyptian border. Even today there are 3 different villages bearing the name Mashtul, the present form of Migdol in Egyptian of Coptic derivation. See also No. 2. Though one of the Amarna tablets mentions a certain Majid Ali, it gives no indication of its location. Since the location of the other sites, Pi-Hahiroth and Baal-Zephon, are not presently known, the location of Migdol remains uncertain. Some consider it as likely to have been a site on the height of Jebel Attica overlooking the northern end of the Gulf of Suez. Though no evidence is known today connecting such a site with the name Migdol, it would obviously be a strategic location for a watchtower or frontier post. 2. The Migdol mentioned by the prophets Jeremiah and Ezekiel some 900 years after the Exodus. While it may be the same as that considered above, most commentators believe that a second Egyptian Migdol is involved. The prophet Ezekiel foretold a devastation due to come upon Egypt, evidently from Babylon, striking it from Migdol to Sin and to the boundary of Ethiopia. Ez 29. 10. 30. 6. Since Sin is in the extremis of ancient Egypt, it appears that this Migdol was in the extreme N, thus giving rise to a description similar to the familiar phrase from Dan down to Beersheba used with reference to Palestine. JG 20. 1. After Jerusalem's fall in 607 BCE, Jewish refugees settled in Migdol, Tapanhes, of Memphis, and in the land of Patros. But Migdol and other places were to witness the devouring sword of Babylon's king Nebuchadnezzar. J 44. 1. 46. 13, 14. This Migdol is usually identified with a fortress described in Egyptian hieroglyphic texts as guarding the any approaches of the country. The Antonine itinerary Itinerarium Provinciarum Antonini Augusti from the 3rd century CE refers to a site called Magdalone Pelusium, which latter place lay on the Mediterranean coast at what might be called the entrance into Egypt for those coming from Philistia. Though there is no certainty, some scholars tentatively identify this frontier fortress called Migdol with Tel El, about 10 km 6 mi SSW of Pelusium Tel El Faram. Migron threshing floor. A location at the outskirts of Gibeah where King Saul was in camp when Jonathan and his armor-bearer killed about 20 men from the Philistine outpost near Michmash. 1 to 13. 16, 23. 14. 1, 2, 13-16 Tel Mairim, about 1 km 0.6 mi WSW of Mukmas Michmash, is tentatively identified with Migron. At Isaiah 10. 28 Migron is foretold to be one of the cities through which the Assyrians would pass on their way toward Jerusalem. Its being mentioned after Iath and before Michmash appears to locate Migron N, not S, of Michmash. Therefore, a second Migron maker unto the NW of Michmash has been suggested. However, if the Migron of Saul's day was still in existence, it seems unlikely that there would be another Otextoi acute Muritra Longo, mildness 399 worthy arrangement of Nehemiah's time. NE 9. 38. 10. 1, 7, 8 He seems to be identical with the Miniamin of Nehemiah 12. 41. In Hebrew, Mjamin seems to be a contraction of the name Miniamin. Mikloth. 1. Father of Shemir Shemim. Descendant of the Benjamite Jael of Gibeon. 1 ch 8. 1, 29-32. 9. 35-38. 2. Leader appointed for the king's service during the second month in the division commanded by I the Ahohite. 1 ch 27. 1, 4. Miknea Mike Middle.Ne herds livestock of Jehovah. One of the Levites who played harps while the ark was transported from the house of Obed to Jerusalem. 1 ch 15. 17, 18, 21. Miktam Miktam. A Hebrew word contained in the superscriptions of 6 psalms ascribed to David. PS 16, 56-60 This term may simply mean that the psalms are inscriptions of the episodes that they relate. Malale Miller Middle.lie. Alvite musician who marched in one of the inaugural processions on Jerusalem's rebuilt wall in Nehemiah's day. NE 12. 31, 36. Milcah. 1. Daughter of Abram's brother Haran, wife of his brother Nahor her uncle, and the sister of Lot. GE 11. 27, 29 Bethuel, one of Milcah's 8 children, became father to Rebekah. GE 22. 20-23. 24. 15, 24, 47. 2. One of Zelophehad's 5 daughters given an inheritance in the territory of Manasseh after their father's death. New 26. 33. 27. 1-4. 36. 10-12. Joes 17. 3, 4. Milcom from a root meaning king. Evidently the same as Melech, god of the Ammonites. It was to Milcom and other deities that King Solomon, when deviating from true worship toward the close of his reign, built high places. 1 K 11. 4, 5, 7, 33. 2 K 23. 13. See Melech. Mildew. Generally, any of numerous plant diseases caused by fungi. The ruining of crops by mildew was one of the calamities experienced by unfaithful Israel. De 28. 22. 1 Chi 8. 37-39. 2 Ch 6. 28-30. Am 4. 9. Hag 2. 17. It has been suggested that the mildew of the Bible may be black stem rust Puccinia gramineans. This serious parasitic disease deprives plants of needed nourishment and water and thus can cause the kernels of grain to dry up. Small rust-colored spots appear on the stems and leaves of attacked cereal plants. Mildness. A New Testament word book, by William Barclay, says of the adjective pyramidal.ys. In classical Greek this is a lovely word. Of things it means gentle. It is used, for instance, of a gentle breeze or a gentle voice. Of persons it means mild or gracious. There is gentleness in prowess, but behind the gentleness there is the strength of steel. It is not a spineless gentleness, a sentimental fondness, a passive quietism. London, 1956, pages 103, 104. Vy's Expository Dictionary of Old and New Testament Words states that the noun form pyramidal.ytes consists not in a person's outward behavior only, nor yet in his relations to his fellow men, as little in his mere natural disposition. Rather it is an inwrought grace of the soul, and the exercises of it are first and chiefly towards God. It is that temper of spirit in which we accept his dealings with us as good, and therefore without disputing or resisting. It is closely linked with the word tapenephros and overline humility, and follows directly upon it. 1981, Volume 3, pages 55, 56. The word pyramidal.ys is variously translated in Bible versions meek, mild, mild-tempered, and gentle. KJ, as, NW, NE. However, as expressed in Barclay's work quoted in the foregoing, pyramidal.ys goes somewhat deeper than gentleness and, when used of persons, means mild, gracious. Although Jehovah is one who will not tolerate sin and badness, he has lovingly provided the way of approach to himself through the ransom sacrifice and priestly services of Jesus Christ. Jehovah's worshippers and servants can therefore seek his face without any feeling of morbid fear and dread. Heb 4. 16. 10. 19-22. 1 Joe 4. 17, 18. Jesus represented Jehovah God so perfectly that no text to acute miritra longo, mildness 400 unbalanced or caused to lose his good sense. Lack of mildness of temper is the result of insecurity, frustration, lack of faith and hope, and even desperation. A person who is not mild-tempered is described by the proverb as a city broken through, without a wall, is the man that has no restraint for his spirit. PR 25. 28. He is open and vulnerable to the invasion of any and all improper thoughts, which may motivate him to improper actions. a fruit of the Spirit. Mildness is a fruit of God's Holy Spirit, His active force. 5. 22, 23 God is therefore the source of mildness, and one must apply to Him for His Spirit and must cultivate this fruit of the Spirit to have genuine mildness of temper. Hence, it is not acquired by the exercise of sheer willpower, but results from drawing close to God. Lack of mildness results in undue excitability, harshness, lack of self-control, and fights. On the other hand, the Christian is counseled to preserve unity and peace by lowliness of mind and mildness. F4. 1-3. Jealousy and contention, if allowed to take root and grow, will lead to disorders of every sort. Mildness, on the other hand, will prevent such conditions from developing among the followers of Christ. Hence, the Bible writer James urges those who are wise and understanding in the congregation to display fine conduct in the form of mildness that belongs to wisdom, the wisdom from above. Just 3. 13, 17. Mildness, in the Bible, is frequently coupled with spirit, for example, mildness of spirit, or mild spirit. Genuine mildness is, accordingly, something that is more than an outward, transitory or occasional quality. Rather, it is a part of one's make-up, or temperament. The Apostle Peter points out this fact when he says, "And do not let your adornment be that of the external braiding of the hair and of the putting on of gold ornaments or the wearing of outer garments, but let it be the secret person of the heart in the incorruptible apparel of the quiet and mild spirit, which is of great value in the eyes of God." 1 Peter 3. 3, 4. The Apostle Paul writes, "Clothe yourselves with mildness," which, superficially read, might seem to indicate that it is somewhat of a veneer for mere outward appearance. But in the same context he admonishes, "Clothe yourselves with the new personality,